In today's episode, we take a look at Yuma, Arizona in the late 1950s. Head over to the J.C. Silver Spur Rodeo, try to figure out what movies are playing at the Army Base Theater, and see how Main Street has changed since this parade. So if that sounds interesting, stick around and explore some slides of the past. If you were born in this millennium, you might never have seen these before. These are slides. This was one of the cool ways we used to share photos before the internet. You would shoot on special film, develop them into these, gather your friends and family, usually around some kind of holiday, trick them into going into a dark room, take out your projector, unfold your screen, and then show them pictures of you standing in front of houses, or stand in front of a waterfall, or that time you went to the zoo and this thing was loose. All of these things are possible, and more, with slides. But how do you even look at these in the 21st century? I don't really want to buy a projector or anything, and I already have a camera, so we're going to digitize them. And for that, I'm going to use one of these. It fits on the front of the macro lens and holds the slide with a backlight. A touch of dusting, and then it's just a matter of uploading your social media to the caddy here. Guess on the orientation because you didn't look at the thing. I realized this whole thing wasn't really supported that well, so I made some coffee while I thought of a solution, got distracted, and then came back a lot later with the idea of a magic arm super clamped to the stick thing on the video tripod, and then screwed into the little dinky hole thing on the bottom of the slide holder apparatus. I don't really get why putting it on the other side made it reach any better, but it did. Maybe I just did that to show you, but it's much more stable now. And then begin the long task of actually scanning all these slides into the computer. And after you get these all brought into the computer, that's where the fun actually starts. That's where you can really zoom in, dig around these photos, and actually kind of see into the past a little bit. Really see what kind of time capsules these are. The 12th annual J.C. Silver Spur Rodeo. One quick Google search later reveals that this is in fact still going on, and they are celebrating their 80th annual rodeo. And look, they got some old-timey photos here. I wonder if some of these riders on the website here are maybe in some of these slides. It looks like some of the photos I have might fit in some of these gaps in their timeline too. Huh. Maybe somebody else wants to see these. So I found their email on the website, but I guess maybe I should finish getting some of these photos ready before I send them over to them anyway. Mostly basic adjustments and cropping and straightening. And then clean up a little bit of the, dust that I didn't physically clean before digitizing them. Digitizing. Am I saying that right? Huh. Well, thanks, Google. So now we know. I am digitizing them. And we also learned what year this photo was taken, since now we know when the 12th annual rodeo was. Which will also help to date some of these other photos that I'm probably not going to show you. As you can see, these slides hold a tremendous amount of detail. These are digitized at 45-ish megapixels, which is this resolution, so basically 8K. And I'm zooming in about 5 times here in editing. I'm not sure I've ever really seen these kinds of hats or visors. This hasn't come back in fashion. But anyway, we'll get these exported here and emailed off to the rodeo people and see what they say. Maybe they'll be useful. we wait to hear back from the rodeo folks about these archive photos, let's take a look at this movie theater on the Army base, which is where my dad used to live when he was a kid. And can't quite tell what movie posters are in these. So I wonder if we can do a little sleuthing and figure out what movies were playing on the Army base. Which reminds me that these parade photos pass in front of a theater. Maybe they're playing the same movies in town as they are on the base. So I guess let's try that first. We'll just Google movie posters from these two movies. Man from Del Rio and The Boss. So it doesn't look like it is probably that. Okay, well, there's been a lot of movies with that name. Let's try 58. Well. Okay, well, that doesn't seem to be it. I guess I'm also just assuming that picture was taken the same year that rodeo was. Which I guess it probably was, but maybe not. Alright, well, I'll keep looking around for those movie posters. And while I'm doing that, why don't you check out some photos from the Army base in the late 1950s. Well, I'm kind of hitting a dead end with the movie posters. If any of you have any ideas what these might be, or things that I should look into to figure it out, let me know in the comments. But for now, that remains a mystery. Maybe someday. Someday we'll solve it. Well, let's see if we can figure out where this parade photo was taken at least, and see what it looks like now, at least on Google Maps. So I remember seeing a parade route when I was browsing the rodeo website. So let's go check that out on Google Maps and maybe we can match up some of these buildings. So it seems like this would be the parade end. Pop into Street View here and look around. So if we, I don't know, just go back on the road here, maybe we can match up some buildings. This is what I'm kind of looking for, is this crest sign or building, because it has kind of a identifiable facade, I guess. And yeah, there's that crest building, huh? Or crest sign. Looks a little different now. And people definitely still like to just get on top of buildings when they probably shouldn't. places these photos were taken have changed so much in the last 60 years that they effectively aren't the same place anymore. These streets are kind of unrecognizable. There's just these little remnants of the past. You can probably see this happening right now in your own city. It happens pretty quick. Well, I still have an awful lot of slides left to digitize, so I'm going to keep working on that. If you have any ideas what those movies might be that were playing at the Army Base Theater, let me know in the comments. I explore things using cameras and technology, so if that's interesting to you, why don't you consider subscribing? Either way, I'll be here when you get back.